Hey guys, how's it going? Today the news was revealed that Sony has shut down the team that worked on Concord known as Firewalk Studios. Now, I just want to say that I kind of feel bad for the people who, made the sound design for the game, maybe worked on the maps, because the maps were alright, and other aspects of this game that weren't terrible. Matter of fact, I would gladly swap the Black Ops 6 maps for the Concord maps, because, maps like Scud are terrible. I don't know who working at Activision decided to put that in BO6. But when it comes to the developers that were on Twitter calling people like me trying to give constructive criticism talentless hacks and stuff, I'm sorry, but I just don't feel bad for you. At the end of the day, I hope this is some sort of wake-up call to not do this sort of garbage in the future, because this is the end result of it. I mean, what else is there to be said that hasn't already been said before? You insult the consumer base does not buy your game. I mean, it's very simple. But today we're gonna read an article by Paul Tassi, who works for Forbes, and read what he has to say about Concord's Firewalk Studios getting shut down. Sony shuts down Concord developer, no relaunch coming. Paul Tassi, senior contributor. Sony will close down Firewalk Studios, the developer of the now offline Concord hero shooter that was potentially preparing for a free-to-play relaunch. That will no longer happen. Firewalk will dissolve, though a breakdown between layoffs and who may move elsewhere inside Sony is as of yet unclear. Here's what Herman Hulst said in a message to staff via The Verge. So before we get into what Herman Hulst said to staff, let's talk about this. I thought this game would get a free-to-play revival, and there's no guarantee that it would have worked, but it's worth a try in my opinion. I've definitely played shitty games before because they're free to play and me and my friends don't have anything else to play at the moment, like Warzone for example. I think that shit is so boring. But since it's free and my friends are waiting for payday or whatever, we just hop on the game because why not? I literally nicknamed that game Snore Zone and Bore Zone because it's so boring. But it's free to play, so who cares? Test it out, right? I think Concord could have went down that route. There's no guarantee that it would have been a success, but at least give it a try, right? It didn't work pay to play, so try free to play and put some skins in it. Although I doubt many people are buying skins for the hideous Concord characters. But anyway, we're gonna continue the article now and see what Herman Hulst said to staff via The Verge. We have spent considerable time these past few months exploring all our options, Hulst said. After much thought, we have determined the best path forward is to permanently sunset the game and close the studio. I want to thank all of Firewalk for their craftsmanship, creative spirit, and dedication. But if they were so dedicated and creative or whatever, then why didn't they do something unique for a game instead of trend chasing like the rest of the video game industry is doing? Why didn't they try at least a free-to-play model? When I think of dedication, I think of people like Hello Games that spent the past 8-9 years working on No Man's Sky to make it a good product. When I think of dedication, I don't think of putting a game out, having the game fail, and not taking the game down to do any fixes and just giving up on it. That's the opposite of dedication. The launch of Concord will remain one of the largest video game disasters of all time. A title that took years and potentially hundreds of millions of dollars to develop, shut down just 2 weeks after launch due to an abysmally low player count. While the shutdown of the game shortly after launch seemed to leave at least some room open for a potential relaunch down the line, likely free to play to remove the $40 barrier to entry, if you'd been paying attention to the trajectory of the game, it was pretty clear that there was no point to that. The price may have been ill-advised, but the free beta shortly before launch barely attracted 2,000 players on Steam. Well, speaking of Steam, the Steam recommended specs to play the game definitely weren't the lowest in the world, recommending a 2060 Super. And the CPU recommendation I think was kind of reasonable, but I mean, people on lower end laptops and things like Steam Decks couldn't play the game, and then you have to keep in mind that Xbox players couldn't play the game due to exclusivity. Then you just keep in mind that the game had terrible advertising. They just advertised this as a slop hero shooter that looks like an Overwatch ripoff. And the game had shader stutter compilations due to the Unreal Engine 5 just kinda being fucking broken at the moment. Please sort that shit out, Epic. Throw some Fortnite money at it, fuck. At launch it peaked under 700 when fellow mega disaster Soy Squad, Kill the Justice League, had 13,000. Sales estimates were at just 25,000 copies, and Sony had to refund all of them. Okay, this is a serious question for anyone who bought a physical copy of Concord. When Sony was giving out refunds because they were shutting the game down, were you able to go get a refund for a physical copy from like Walmart or Best Buy? I doubt anyone watching this channel is buying shitty games like Concord, but I just want to know. In short, the price was not the problem. Well, it definitely was one of them. Why would anyone spend $40 on a game that just feels like an Overwatch ripoff, is worse than Overwatch, has uglier characters than Overwatch, and has stuttering problems? If the game were free to play, some people would have just checked it out anyway because it's free, but those people are not dropping $40 on this shit. And it seemed unlikely that any sort of free relaunch or gameplay tweaks could salvage the game. Sure, there are plenty of redemption stories in gaming, but if you're looking at something like a Cyberpunk 2077 turnaround, problematic as it was, it still launched with 1 million concurrent players on Steam. Yeah, because Cyberpunk was advertised as this massive, cool, unique game, whereas Concord was advertised as a slop hero shooter ripoff. You need something to build on, and Concord had nothing. Well, they had like a entire state of play pretty much dedicated to it, but they couldn't show off anything captivating. 2024 has proved to be a series of wild swings for Sony with live service, Helldivers 2 being a surprisingly huge hit, while Concord is this historic disaster. Yesterday, Bungie issued a video about its own live game it will make for Sony, Marathon, which seemed to indicate it may slip from its proposed 2025 launch year. Yup, and Marathon just looks like another lazy trend-chasing game. You know, whenever something popular comes out, the whole gaming industry gotta copy that. Fortnite becomes popular, gotta make a battle royale, gotta make extraction shooters, gotta copy the fucking trends. Man, at a certain point, it just gets so tiring, and I think Marathon is gonna be an abysmal failure. I am so tired of the trend chasing in the video game industry. Oh, something else is popular, better make a soulless slop version of that. Firewalk had a lot of talent, and I very much hope that Sony can find places for them elsewhere in the company rather than simply issuing a mass layoff. Update, they are in fact doing a mass layoff of 170 people. There are plenty of live service projects to go around over there. Concord simply did not come together on any level, and as Herman Hulst says, there are plenty of lessons to be learned. But at the end of the day, I don't think the gaming industry is going to learn anything. I mean, trend chasing is here to stay, and these projects are doomed to fail. I don't really have that much else to say. I feel bad for the people who didn't work on the fucked up aspects of this game, like the maps and whatever, that are gonna lose their jobs, but it is what it is. Alright, peace.